Hey crafty friends, this is Chelsea. Today I have a really fun video for you. I want to share a stash of layouts with you that all have stamping on them. So I'm going to be showing you a bunch of different ways to use stamps with different types of stamps, kind of different styles, and let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, first up we have this layout. I wanted to start with this one because I use stamps in 3 different ways on this page, and so I thought that would be a good one to start with. I do have a video on my channel showing the process for making this, and I did this using a stamp of the month. So each month close to my heart has one stamp set that is just featured in that month. You can get it for $6.75 with a $60 order, or if you're a VIP, you can get it for free with a $60 order, which is an awesome VIP perk. And they change every month, and you can only buy that stamp set in that month. So I'll show you the one for this month. I have not gotten around to making anything with it yet, but it's in the works. I plan to do some cards with this one. Super cute little characters and cute sayings. So I can't wait to color that one up. All right, so on this layout here, there was some border stamps in it, and I used them to create a background. So you can use them for making your own pattern paper. The best way to do this is to make sure you go off the edges. This was like a long strip of stamping, so I just stamped it over and over. I masked off some of the words so I could stamp them in a different color. You could also do this with individual stamps if you had a bunch of individual ones. I just think the border stamps were a little bit easier to do all that repetitive stamping. And then I also used stamps here for my title, and I colored that in with alcohol markers. Same thing for this under here. This was actually a border as well. I masked it off, and then I colored it in for all the little tropical drinks. And then if you notice, in between all these fussy cut leaves and flowers, those are stamped images from that set as well as the little anchor down here, and then the little sand pail, and the little ball up there. So lots of fun ways all in one layout to use stamps. Now another way is to use alphabet stamps as titles or subtitles. Right here, the word week, I use this set, the Moxie alphabet. And this one has coordinating dies, which is awesome. It's a very unique alphabet. And this one here, I actually white heat embossed it onto colored cardstock, onto Lagoon cardstock. And if you saw this video, this is part of my week in the life. I am working on more videos to finish this whole week, but I'm using each day, I'm titling with the abbreviation for that day. So I have Monday, I have Tuesday. I will link this video for you if you want to go watch that. I will have more videos coming. They just take a little bit longer because I need to pick like a whole bunch of photos for this process, but there is more videos coming so I can finish that whole week. And the Moxie alphabet, you can either get just the stamps or the ones with the stamp and the dies. Both of those are in the sale. So if you didn't know, Close to My Heart is having a huge stamp sale in March, and there is a ton of stamps as well as stamp and die sets that are on sale all the way up to 60% off. So there's a variety of discounts in there, and I'm going to show you some of the sets that are on sale as we go through, because some of them I happen to have used on these projects. So I have a bit of stamping on this layout. This is from a recent video as well. And I have a few different things going on here. I have some words. This could be kind of like a subtitle or just like supporting words on my page. All these embellishments are stamped, as well as this mailbox with the little letters. All of this is stamped. The words are stamped. I have this heart embellishment that is also stamped, as well as the pattern paper back here. I created that with stamps. So I used this set here, the Now and Forever. This one is no longer available. It was part of a special that ended at the end of February. This set here is Love Mail. The stamp version of this is available, but not the stamp and thin cut set anymore. So just the stamp. But that's where I got these cute little letters from, and the little mailbox, as well as this heart, is from that set. So it's kind of fun. I worked in embellishments. My title is stamped, a subtitle, and then also making my own pattern paper. This is a fun layout from last summer. I did a couple of things on here. I have some splatter stamping in the background, as well as these little images. I kind of made them as part of the background as well by stamping them just in toffee. I didn't color them in, but then I stamped other images that were more of like a focal point embellishment, and I colored those in with tri-blend markers. These are all stamped and colored in. And I don't know if you can tell, hopefully you can, I created some pattern paper with this little shell stamp. So all the blue circles have that shell pattern on them. And I think that is a really easy way to kind of help your stamps mesh into your project by creating pattern paper with them. Now I have a few go-to kind of like splatter sort of stamps that I like to use. Here's a couple of them. This is called Background Elements. This one specifically has been used a lot. And then also this little like swash, kind of like scratchy paint swash sort of image. And then Perfectly Imperfect. This is a highly used stamp because we have like a watercolor kind of spot. We have a little paint swash here. These doodled border images. This little splatter one is one of my all-time favorite splatter stamps because it's so tiny, and you can like repeat it a bunch of times, or you can fit it in around things that maybe you've already attached everything and then you decide you want to splatter. It's so nice and little, you can just work it in there. And then I have also gotten a fair bit of use out of these patterns as well. And I think you can't go wrong with these type of stamps. Both of these are in the stamp sale this month, and I highly recommend both of them. So here's another way to use stamps. I would definitely call this a statement piece, right? So this is a lot of stamped images all clustered together in a wreath shape, and then we have these two big clusters over here. This design was inspired by another close to my heart maker named Jennifer, and I just loved this idea. All of these are stamped on pattern paper. So there is a great idea if you don't like to color in, and maybe there's some nice outline stamps that you want, but you don't want to be bothered to color them in. You can stamp them on pattern paper. You can stamp them on cardstock. I believe the leaves here are on cardstock, and that works really well. I also went around and inked all the edges with black ink. And then I don't know if you can see here, but there is more splatter stamping in the background, and I kind of alternated colors. So I have this green, this teal, I think that's lagoon, and then the pink, and I just alternated the different colors of splatter stamping all the way around the page. And then you can see, hopefully you can see there's dimension, but not too much dimension under all those flowers. And of course I had to scrapbook some Hawaii pictures from our most recent trip. This was to Maui. And I love these pages so much. Now the only downside to this is that I did not have a coordinating die for this set. So all of this is hand cut. You probably definitely have some sore fingers after this, but I think it's worth it for the overall look. If you have a set that has thin cuts with it, even better. And save your fingers a little bit. But I do like the black inked edge. I think it really makes them defined from each other and really makes them pop. All right, you may recognize this layout. This is very recent. I just posted this video last week, and I did a ton of stamping on this layout, so I thought it was perfect time to kind of point those things out to you. My embellishments here are stamped, my two like kind of focal images for my embellishments, as well as the crown that is up here. And then I created my own pattern paper with these textures on the cardstock. And then I also have these stamped little swashes. I got that idea from my friend Katie Taylor. And then I stamped more splatter kind of radiating out from those swashes. So this set, I used a ton on this page. I used this little pattern here, on the thistle cardstock that's in the background. You can see that subtle tone on tone. I stamped with thistle ink on thistle cardstock. And then I used this pattern right here to stamp the bluebird cardstock with bluebird ink. And then I used Capri ink on Capri cardstock. Using this set for the big splatter. I wanted a bigger amount of splatter so that I didn't have to stamp it so many times. And then all this little design up here. Then we have the little ink swash right here, and then the little splatter stamp right there that I used for all of this. And then the castle and the dragon are from these sets. So this is Storybook Cardmaking, that's where the castle's from, and then Storybook Scrapbooking, and that's where the dragon is from, and the crown. There's also this really cute rainbow and some fun sayings that are in there. And both of these sets, even though they're current, like they're very new sets, both of these are in the sale as well. I will try to link down below all of the stamps that I can that I've used on these layouts. And that way you can just hop straight over there if you want to check them out. All right, another really fun way that I have used stamps on my layouts is to create scenes. So I love these pages. They're so cute. I have this cute little like owl and squirrel and these gnomes. These were from a promotion a couple, was it not last fall, but the fall before, I think. And I believe these are still on the website. So I will link them down below. They are not in the sale because they were like promotional sets, but they are still available. So I will link those for you. They're two different sets, the one with the animals and then the ones with the little gnomes. But I love building scenes with my stamps. This one, she's coming out from behind this Cricut cut. And you'll see in another one I'm going to show you layering Cricut cuts or die cuts with stamped images is so much fun to build a scene, because I did color all of these with tri-blend markers, but when you layer it with Cricut cuts or die cuts, it kind of cuts down on the amount of coloring instead of having to color like absolutely everything. I just think these are so adorable, and because there's so much going on here, the rest can be fairly simple, and you know, your eye goes to these cute guys, the cute photos, and the rest of the layout can be a little bit more simple. All right, here is another kind of version of building a scene. I absolutely love this layout. I did kind of an ombre of cardstock strips in the background. Then all of these are Cricut cuts, the mountains, the trees, everything. And same down here, the title, the half circle here, the tent, even the little marshmallows roasting over the little fire. All of those are Cricut cuts. And then these little guys are from that same set. It's called Thoughtful Critters, and I will link it down below for you. But I think it works really great to have all these cardstock pieces mixed with the stamp images, because the white borders on these really make them pop against all that cardstock and basically give them like a little highlight so they stand out from the background. Now, I have no camping pictures to put on here right now. We haven't been camping in forever. So hopefully one day we'll go camping or backyard camping or something with Isabella. And when that day happens, I will have the perfect layout to scrapbook those photos. All right, another version of scene building. This one is an underwater scene. And this is with the Fishy Greetings set. This was released at the same time as the Thoughtful Critters and the Little Gnomes. And I love this underwater scene. I did some shading on the Cricut cuts to make it look like seaweed. And this Bubbles is a thin cut die, so that kind of adds to the whole underwater feel. And then the wood grain paper, I cut it all apart and inked it up to make it look like wood slats. And then same greenery cut all from the Cricut. And then I added some like iridescent sequins add to the whole bubble effect. There's some bubble stamping in the background from that stamp set. I'll give you a close-up of this page as well. All colored with tri-blend markers. And of course, if you don't want to color your stamps with alcohol markers, or you don't have alcohol markers, you can also use things like colored pencil. You can do ink blending with like detail ink blending brushes. You could use watercolor. There's lots of different options for coloring your images. I just really enjoy the vivid colors of the tri-blend markers or alcohol markers in general. And I don't have pictures on this yet, but I'm sure probably maybe even this summer I will find the right pictures for this, because we will be spending time at the beach again. So hopefully sometime this year I will get pictures on this layout. Okay, there's a few things going on this layout. So I have some splatter stamping with that little tiny splatter. I have some leaves here that are colored in with pencils. And then I also built a scene. So you can see the leaves are part of my embellishment clusters. Then I have some background detail with the splatters, and then a whole scene done with stamps. So I do have a video on this on my channel. I'll make sure to link that. This is a stamp sentiment from this set. This was also a stamp of the month. So I can't link that for you, but I masked off here. I did a lot of ink blending to create this background, and then the stamping over top. And then it's a very small detail, but there is this cute little sketchy heart border along the bottom, and that is from the Perfectly Imperfect patterns, this cute little heart border here. These borders come in so handy. They don't look like much, but they're a nice little touch to add to your layouts. And then of course my favorite little mini splatter stamp there. Okay, next up we have some more embellishment stamps as embellishments. So I have these beautiful bright unicorns on this layout. I do have a video for this one as well. And this is the Unicorn Dream set. I love this set. I've gotten actually quite a bit of use out of it, and it is in the sale. So you might want to check that out. It's on a really good discount. And here I colored these in with my tri-blend markers again. And I don't know, hopefully if I tilt it, maybe you can catch it. I used clear shimmer brush over top. So they have this really nice twinkle in real life. I don't think it's going to be strong enough for you to see it on camera, but they make this perfect little addition to my page. All right, one of my all-time favorite ways to use stamps is to stamp florals. I love flowers. They're one of my favorite things. I love using them on my pages. A lot of my pages have flowers on them. This is actually a layout you guys probably have not seen. I taught this in the Creative Design Team membership, and I did a whole class on different ways to shape flowers. So I don't know if you can tell looking top down that these are looking very dimensional, but I will bring it up closer so you can see they are super dimensional. And then I also took the leaves from this set and stamped it on the background, which I think helps it look even more dimensional. So I have that, and then I have another little cluster over here with the same thing, the stamping. And then my title on here is stamped as well, and white heat embossed. So I used this set here. This is the Isabella Scrapbooking set. It has a few different types of flowers. These are the two that I used on here, plus the leaves, and then the little like greenery bits and little branches and stuff that I stamped directly on there. This set is in the sale, and I believe it is 60% off. So great price for this one. And then the title is from the Moments That Matter. This is the life. This one has some awesome title options that could work for all kinds of things. There's also some fun like summertime icons in there that are really usable too. I didn't get the set that has the thin cuts, but there are thin cuts that match all of these little images. And this one is in the sale as well. Here is another layout that has a ton of stamping. I have a video on my channel for this one. And I use stamps in several different ways, but I wanted to point out those Isabella scrapbooking flowers. I also used them on this layout, and this time I colored them with colored pencils. So you can see there's just a little bit different look there. The last ones, I stamped those on colored cardstock and then ink blended them. These ones are actually shaded in with pencils. So if you want to see the whole process for this, you can watch the video. But I also did a background stamp here. This one is called Lake Rules. I believe it's not available anymore, but it was a background stamp that had all these fun like lake or summertime words on them and images. And that is heat embossed in clear onto craft cardstock and then ink blended over top. And then I also used this strip right here that is a stamped saying that went with this die set. It's no longer available, but you don't have to stamp your whole title. You could do a subtitle like I did here, where it's part die cut, part stamped. Here is a bright and fun layout. This was intended more as like a summer layout. This is the Tutti Frutti collection. I think there's a little bit of this paper still left on the website, but not too much. This was actually from the workshop kit, and I used these cute little bunnies from this set. Some Bunny Loves You. I love this big like Easter greeting. All these images have thin cuts to go with them. And then there's some really nice Easter sayings if you want to make cards. But I actually colored them up with my tri-blend markers and used them on a layout. And it kind of helped me transform it from a summertime kind of like ice cream themed layout to an Easter layout. I scrapbooked our little egg hunt on Easter morning. Even has like a little shaker with these little Tutti Frutti shapes, like little clay shaker shapes. And these are just so sweet, the little bunnies and the little chicks. I have since used these chicks again on some Easter cards this year, as well as the bunnies. And I will just show you those next real briefly. So I made these Easter cards with my VIPs just recently. We were learning about stamping foam. We did a lot of tri-blend marker coloring technique. And I used a combination of this Sweet Easter set, which is also in the sale, and then the Some Bunny Loves You. These little baby chicks that are in that set are just the perfect addition to any Easter set to kind of build a little bit of a scene. Same with that grass stamp that is in this set as well. You can see it at the bottom of this Happy Easter. It's actually a separate set, it's a separate stamp. It doesn't stamp at the same time as the Happy or the Easter. Those are all separate. And we have a stamping foam background, double. And then this cute little lamb. And then we have a slimline card here, all with stamping foam backgrounds that we created. And then here is the one with that Happy Easter. And all of these stamped separately so you can stamp them in different colors. And then I have that bunny again and one of the little chicks. So I love that when you get use of stamp sets on layouts and cards, it makes them super versatile. Okay, we have another layout here that you probably have not seen before. This is one that I taught in the Creative Design Team membership fairly recently. I did a whole class about liquid pearls, and I used one of my favorite stamps right now, this Cherish Cardmaking. I love that there is not only a stamp, a thin cut, but there's also layered stencils, which you can use to help you color up the image. I love this set so much. It is also in the sale. And then for my title on here, I used this set here and the best day ever. I love that the word best has this little shadow. So I white heat embossed the best day, and then I used black to stamp this little shadow around the word best. Super dimensional and just a really fun layout. I have also used that Cherish card making set for Christmas cards. I don't have one of those left. I gave them all away, but I also used it for Valentine's cards. So you can see here, I actually used the stencils to shade it, and I stamped in a lighter brown ink and then ink blended over top using the stencils, and I was able to quickly and easily at several different colors. And I just love how this works out. I love the idea of having a stamp and a thin cut and a stencil and just speeding up the coloring process sometimes. Here's another single page layout, and I've used stamps a little bit differently in here. I mean, you could consider this a background, but this could also be considered a border stamp, a very prominent border. I can't remember, I think this was maybe stamp of the month. I can't remember which stamp set there was that I used this. There's one on the website though called Garden Borders, and it has a floral border somewhat similar to this, so I will link that down below. This is a layout that I did a video for, that I was actually comparing and contrasting my daughter as a toddler eating cottage cheese and me as a toddler eating cottage cheese. So I have a border that I also colored in with alcohol markers. So that is colored in. And then this image here is a stamp and thin cut image that I also colored in for sort of like an embellishment / subtitle. Say Cheese is the main title, but I thought this was really cute and I had to use that one. This is with the Eat, Play, Love paper, and there is actually some of that still left on the website. But I love how this layout turned out, and you could make your border way more subtle, but I decided to go bold and really make it pop with that extra bit of coloring. If you didn't want to color, you could also ink blend over top of this. You could heat emboss this border. Lots of different ideas that you can do with your stamps to help you build your pages. Okay, this layout here is a ton of stamping. This layout is mostly stamping. We have a little bit of pattern paper, but a whole lot of stamping going on here. I have a video on my channel where I show how to create this page, and I absolutely love how this turned out. So I have a ton of stamps in here. I'm not going to pull them all out for you, but it's always good to look through your stash and see what you have that could work. Lots of smaller words, smaller images, these banners. I love those banners. And I pulled a few things here. So this is one of the sets that I used. This is called Beautiful Day. It is still available with thin cuts on the website. It's not in the sale because it was a promotion, but I used quite a few of these images on here. The little banner, Beautiful Day is my title. Did I end up using the hot air balloon? I don't think I did end up using that. The little sun, the camera, the cloud. It has little stars on there. So lots of good images for this sort of like collage style of stamping. And then the florals on here are with the doodled florals. Now, I didn't buy this set initially because I thought, I love flowers, but this is such a different style. And then, from what I typically use. But then I thought, you know what, that's a good reason to buy it because it's so different from other things that I already own. And I'm so glad I did because I've actually gotten a fair bit of use out of this set. So you can see here, because I had so much color going on in the background, I actually left these all black and white. So just stamped in black on white cardstock, used the thin cuts to die cut them out. And that is really a great option. One, to limit your colors, because if these were all colored, you have colored pattern paper and all this colored stamping in the background, it could get pretty overwhelming. So that is an option for sets like this. And this one is 60% off in the sale right now. So if that's something you think you might get some use out of, I highly recommend. Another stamp that I used on here is this colorful texture. I like ones like this when you're looking for collageable stamps, little shapes, a range of shapes. We have 3 different sizes of hearts, things like this kind of messy circle and this ring here. Let me see if I can find. So here is 2 of the hearts, that circle image. I've used that repeatedly with the hearts and the circle. Up here too with the circle. And just generally different types of text, different fonts. There's more hearts over here and down here. I use that circle quite a bit. So this set, Colorful Texture by Story by Stacy, that is in the sale right now as well. And now this is a set that is exclusive for the sale, and I have not been able to ink it up yet. But when I was looking at this kind of collage stamping, if you want to go a little bit more vintage route, something like this would be such an easy way, because it's basically a collaged background already that you could just stamp in behind your layers and get a similar feel without having to individually stamp everything. And then you could also add other images to it. But I love this vintage feel of this set. It's only available while the sale is running, so until the end of March. And of course, there's some good sentiments too if you want to use it to make cards. Another set that is on sale that I thought might work really good for this style, this one is Love Story Scrapbooking. It does have some flowers in it and leaves and like little branches, enough to make like a really robust cluster of florals like this one. But it also has little splatter, has little hearts, and then it has lots of little words. Enjoy the journey, our life, our story, our home, some bigger words, family, time, memories, life is made of moments, and then also something that is not just outline text, but happy and this is us. These more like solid stamps. You can see here how I've worked in a few solid images, right? The hearts are more solid. That big sweet that's up there. It's nice to have both outline images and solid images. So this could be a really good option. Plus it has this little lined image, which reminds me of this kind of open box here with all the lines that's stamped in green. So something that you could use to build on top of. And of course, this stamp set, Perfectly Imperfect, has a lot of images that would work well for this. This kind of soft blue color that you see in the background, that was done with a larger kind of watercolor background. But this one has that same sort of feel where it fades out on you. It has the splatter. I did use this little heart border. I'll show you on this side. See that little sketchy heart border? I have some text going on in the background. There's more of those sketchy hearts. There's so much richness to this layout. It's fun just to kind of take a deeper, closer up look at it. There's more of those hearts. Really, I used them to just fill in anywhere where I had awkward gaps, or maybe I didn't stamp as close. Like on these ones, these were all separate words that I stamped. And this last one, I got it too far away. So then I just stamped a row of hearts in there to fill that extra gap. Now, if this is too much stamping for you, this is like stamping to the extreme. Let me show you the next one. So this is probably one you have not seen before. This I did for a challenge in the membership, and it has a lot of stitching on it. But what I want to point out is this watercolor background. So this is that same stamped image that I used on that previous layout, except I did it in like a mint color. And it is just a subtle background, right? It is the same idea. It's coming out from behind my title and my photos, but that's it. I didn't add other things on top of it. I think I maybe stamped a little bit of splatter images just to blend out the edges a little bit and extend that kind of watercolor feel, but it doesn't have to take over your whole layout. Really, on here, what's really making the statement is the stitching, but this really helps the whole layout, brings across that like water beach feel to it without being like a major detail or a major focal point of the layout, like that last layout where stamping was the star of the show. Okay, I wanted to show you one more option for that doodled floral set. So you may have seen this. This was part of the Creative Design Team free event that we did. The classes are still all over on Facebook if you want to go watch. I will link it down in the description so you can head over there and watch how this all came together. But I want to point out that this is the same flower set, that doodled floral set. And instead of coloring everything, what I did was stamp on different colors of cardstock and then I layered them up. So because the Close to My Heart cardstock is double-sided, you have like a dark shade on one side and a lighter version on the other one. It's perfect for doing this sort of layered look. And this is a great way to avoid coloring if you're not into coloring. On my leaves, I did use a little bit of pencil to just shade those a little bit, but you could totally skip that step if you wanted to. I also did some shaping. So if you want to see how all that came together, you can go over there. But I wanted to mention, if outline stamps just are not your thing because you don't want to have to color, this is a great option. And then remember, I showed you that floral wreath layout where I had stamped on pattern paper. That is also an option. You can see this one with the cardstock. I thin cut it, but I did not hand cut around it. And I think with the cardstock, that works perfectly to have the colored border. It really doesn't stand out. And it's a really fun way to do your flowers. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you a ton of ideas and that you can go and play with your stamps and use them on your layouts. It's funny, up until a year ago, I hardly ever stamped on my layouts. And then I just decided I wanted to get more use out of my stamps. And there's no going back now because I stamp on a lot of my pages. You will find all the links to everything you need down in the description box. I hope you go and pick up some stamps while they are on sale until the end of March 2023. And have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.